abundant lives abide. Come to the place where you will find new life.
And Moses said unto the people, fear ye not, stand still and see the salvation or the deliverance of the Lord, which he will show to you today. For the Egyptians whom you have seen today, ye shall see them again no more forever. The Lord shall fight for you, and ye shall hold your peace. And this is the word of the Lord.
Blessed be the name of the Lord.
Go. Thank you. There are those who question as to whether or not these epical stories of Israel are true. You do not know, and I cannot verify them, but it should be of interest to us that the nation of Israel that exists today build their history on these stories. Do you find it fascinating that when you look at the nation of Israel, how prominently Egypt figures into the picture? God calls Abram from a land called Ur of the Chaldees, very likely what we know today is Iraq, and instructs him to go to Canaan, his new home. This is in the 12th chapter of Genesis. But right in that same chapter, Abraham finds himself needing to go to, you guessed it, Egypt. For there is a famine in the land. And in this famine, there's food in Egypt. So the first word I want to give you concerning Egypt is the word essential. Egypt was first essential in the life of the formative stages of the nation because of necessity. There was food there, and there was no food in Canaan because of the famine. We move quickly from Abraham to his great-grandson, Joseph. And here we have a young man hated and despised by his brothers. And where does he end up? You guessed it, in Egypt. In Egypt, he finds himself, first of all, sold as a slave, a servant in Potiphar's house, and then a prisoner, an inmate. But that's not the story. The story is this young man becomes a primal figure in Egypt. As a matter of fact, he came in a prisoner and ends up the prime minister. So the second word about Egypt is the word elevation. First, essential. Secondly, elevation. Come with me now. Egypt again appears prominent in the story. For Canaan is again in famine. The 11 remaining brothers of Joseph are sent by their father Jacob into Egypt to get food, and guess what they find when they get there? Their brother Joseph as the prime minister, because now he's been elevated. God has elevated him, but you've got to understand, God actually sent him to Egypt to save those who thought they were hindering him by what they would do. You've got to learn that God is in control of your life. It doesn't matter what people do to you. God is calling the shot. Come closer now. 400 years have passed. Joseph is dead. There's another word for Israel now and Egypt. It is the word evil. You thinking with me? Essential, elevation, now evil, because the Bible said there arose a Pharaoh who knew not Joseph. And so now they have oppressed the people. The people were multiplying at such a rate. They were becoming a threat to the nation. And the only way they could handle them was to put them into horrible slavery. And so now for 430 years, they're slaves in Egypt. But you've got to read your Bible. If you read the 17th chapter of Genesis, you'll know that God told Abraham, your people will be captive in a land that's not yours for 400 years, but after that, I'll bring them out with a high hand. See, you and I have got to learn that we serve a God who can use the same thing that hurt you to help you. Just because something is being used one way in your life today doesn't mean it'll be that way tomorrow. You've also got to understand that just because you're going through something, listen to me, that once helped you but is now hurting you doesn't mean it's not God. Quit beating yourself up by thinking that every time something turns on you, it's not God. The same God who told Elijah to go to the brook, let that same brook dry up. Oh my God. God was working in Egypt for essentials, for elevation, but that same God was behind it. You see, the older I get, the more I'm learning God is calling the shots. We preach so much about the devil and so much about our haters, but I'm learning the earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof. God is the God of history. God is the God of destiny. The steps of a good man ordered by the Lord. He knows the way that I take. And after he has tried me, the devil ain't trying you. God is trying you to fulfill his purpose in your life. Well, now I come to the close. The last E, are you thinking with me? Essential. Elevation. Evil. Now the end of Egypt. They've been in slavery 430 years. They've been dealing with Egypt ever since Abraham. They've been making brick without straw. But God sent Moses into Egypt to be their deliverer. After 9 plagues, and then the last plague, when they took the lamb's blood, sprinkled it on the doorpost, and God said, when I see the blood, I'll pass over you. And God let them go by a mighty deliverance. But that same God led them to a cul-de-sac, mountains on both sides and the Red Sea in the middle. And Pharaoh decided to chase them in order to kill them and bring some back into slavery. But God went into action as Pharaoh's mighty host began to chase the children of Israel. The first thing they did was say we should have stayed in Egypt. You've got some people always ready to turn back, but I want to serve. Notice on you, I'm going forward and not backwards. Stand still. Oh, I feel like preaching now. And see the salvation of the Lord, for the Lord will fight for you today. Church, if you hold your peace. I ain't got time for this like I want to do it. The Lord will fight your battle. God went into motion, dropped a cloud down between Moses and Pharaoh, light on one side and dark on one side. God opened the Red Sea, turned the Red Sea into a 12-lane expressway, and the people walked through on dry ground. Now you know where water has been, it's muddy, but God not only opened the sea, he dried the ground. And when Pharaoh tried to follow them, God turned dry ground into mud, and the Bible says he took off their chariot wheels, and the horse and the rider he threw in the sea. And the last time, the last time, 2 minutes and 10 seconds, the last time he saw Egypt, they were dead on the seashore. I've got news for you. You've been going through some stuff for a long time now. You've been enduring some things, but God told me to tell you, now you see it, now you don't. God is getting ready to totally deliver you. 1 minute and 42 seconds. God is about to bring you out. Now you see it, now you don't. Healing is coming your way. Deliverance is coming your way. Blessing is coming your way. Touch my tell her, it's over. It's over. The dark night is past. The day is come. Sorrow is turned to singing. Slavery has turned to salvation. Brokenness has turned to blessing. Crucifixion has turned to coronation. I'm coming out. I'm coming out. I'm coming out with joy. I'm coming out with power. I'm coming out. Now you see it. Now you don't. I've got 44 seconds left. And I want to say the door of healing is open. The door of joy is open.
Come to the place where abundant lives abide. Come to the place where you will find